Assalamu alaikum. How are you guys? This is the I don't know episode of our series, a series in which inshallah ta'ala we're going to put some effort in understanding Quran. And unfortunately we have faced a problem in time, really. But maybe we can do something in the upcoming surahs inshallah. But we can't do anything in Surah Al-Ikhlas because it's a third of Quran. So please don't just judge the series right now, because we are dealing with it, a surah that it's on another level. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ emphasized that for us. He said to us that this surah weighs the third of Quran, so it's not something normal. It's not something, it's not, so it's, I believe it's normal for us to spend more time with this surah because it's establishing our aqidah. And just like we see, we have discussed super important topics right so far. So we said that Allah Samad is the third point in Quran in which there's an argument for monotheism. We said that the first argument is that there's no corruption in the universe. The second argument is the argument of power, of sharing power between gods. The third argument is that As-Samad, which is called the, I'd say for example, the need argument, because we know that in some movies, in some especially atheistic movies, they try to say that it's not as simple as religious people tend to describe the universe. So they try to put some possibilities that will distract people and make the answers so complicated and so hard until they give up and they say, okay, we don't know, and maybe we will become agnostic or something. Agnostic, to believe that you can't believe. To believe that you can't know. Some people they say that we can't know, and some people say we don't know, which is entirely different. But at the end, they don't know, and they are living with it. So they have thrown the question paper away, and they are happy with that. Which is, I'll not consider this move a wise move, because you haven't put enough effort yet. I can guarantee to you, you haven't put enough effort. You have studied 5 years in university, and before it for how much? 11 years? So combined 15 years for you just to have a good 20, 30, 40 years, for you to have a job, for you to have a license to work, to live a good life. You have put all of this effort for you to live 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. That's it. There is no proportionate effort being put for the afterlife, which may be much longer. So it's not wise. It's not wise. If you're agnostic and you see me, it's not wise for you to do that. At least put some effort. At least put 5 or 10, maybe 10 years. Maybe don't stop learning. Don't stop reading until the end of your life, because you don't know. Imagine, for example, that the next life, which is a possibility, right? You can't say no. You can't say yes. But imagine that the next life is going to be 2,000 years. Is it wise to put of this life now to prepare for the next 2,000 years? Yes, it is wise. It isn't wise enough. So please, life is serious. You don't have to be a Muslim or Christian or Jewish or any other religious or any other religious beliefs to consider that life is serious. Life is serious, actually. And just the fact that we don't know what are the outcome, what is the next version of it is going to be. This fact is alone is scary enough for me, at least. I'm talking about myself here. Let's put myself in the shoes of an agnostic person. I'd be in ultimate fear and anxiety each day. I can't tolerate 2 or 3 weeks between the exam and the result of an exam. For example, if I did an exam, I can't tolerate it because I don't know what is my destiny. Am I going to fail? Am I going to pass? Am I going to complete this study? Am I going to lose this job, this opportunity? Am I going to spend hard times again in studying and preparing and doing the exam again? Am I going to fail? I can't tolerate 2 or 3 weeks of anxiety. How am I going to tolerate an anxiety of my destiny, of my ultimate destiny? I'm not going to tolerate it. This is my perspective of understanding this. So the third point is that the need point. And I'm going to describe it in an example. So let's imagine that you are in hospital, you are a doctor in hospital, you are a junior doctor, okay? The least, I'd say, knowledgeable, and also the least, you have a small authority in the hospital. You can't do anything on your own, by yourself. You have to ask your seniors. So imagine that we have a patient who needs, for example, an IV cannulation, okay? And let's imagine that you can't do it yourself. You can't take this decision yourself. So you ask your senior, and surprisingly enough, your senior said, this situation is complicated. I can't be sure actually. I want to ask my seniors. And those seniors asked their seniors, and the seniors asked the registrar, and the registrar asked the consultant, and surprisingly enough, it's so complicated, and all of them can't take a decision. So the consultant went to the NHS themselves, and he asked them. Let's imagine that they said no also. Now what do we have another authority after NHS? I don't know. Let's imagine that they have went to the WHO and they asked them. Let's imagine that they said, I don't know also. It's kind of a silly example, but it's meaningful. Just bear with me. So let's go back to that poor junior doctor who asked all of those people, and all of them on a sequence they didn't know, and they wanted to ask the higher authority. Is this junior has the authority now to perform the IV cannulation? Not yet, because we didn't reach an end of the sequence, right? A day later, you were passing by that patient and you saw the IV cannulation. So now you know that junior doctor reached an opinion at the end, reached a level in which someone said, okay, I will take the responsibility, and I think that yes, you can do the IV cannulation, right? In most of the cases, it's going to be, for example, the consultant. So we have a junior doctor, 1, 2, 3, 4 seniors, for example. Let's imagine all of them will end to the consultant, the big doctor in the hospital. And the big doctor in the hospital is going to take the decision. Without an end of this sequence, this is the important sentence, please pay attention. Without an end of this sequence of need, nothing is going to happen at the start, at the beginning. I needed to be existed. I needed to be created. Okay? Right? Do you agree? Have you created yourself? No. There's someone else granted you life. So you needed another entity to grant you life, right? Just like I started, they want to distract you. So they say, instead of a god, why don't you think of a giant, intelligent alien somewhere that they have created us, and they are making experiments on us. They are sitting right now in all of this universe, all of this life is just a small room in the lab in those giant, intelligent aliens world or planet or whatsoever. And this is a movie actually called The Matrix. I don't know if you related, if you have seen it. So it sounds strong, right? So why really multiple possibilities? Why do we think of a God first? Why don't we think about another possibilities? And this life could be anything. We can be a computer game for those aliens. Just like, for example, imagine how what was the name of that character in GTA game? I forgot that one who's wearing this sleeveless shirt. So imagine that he has some kind of life or awareness. He would think that life is the game that he's playing in. This is life for him, but we actually are the people who created him, and we made all of this small universe for him to think that it's life, right? So why is it not the case? Why is it not the case? We're just a game for those big aliens to play with. I'd say that even though this argument seems a little bit, I'd say, good, or how to say it, inventional maybe. Even if this argument sounds good and sounds convincing, it doesn't answer the basic questions. It doesn't even reach the level that we are speaking in right now. We are still on the second floor, the first floor and the second floor. This argument itself is not going to contradict or oppose or make God existent impossible. Because I can't ask a very simple question. Who created those giant, big, intelligent aliens? Answer the question. Who created those? Another bigger alien culture with more intelligence? Okay. Who created those? Another culture? Who created those? Remember the sequence of those doctors? Who created? Who created? Who created? Who created? Who created? We have to reach an end for us to be existed. Just the fact that I'm here, I'm touching my hand, just the fact that I'm here, just the fact that IV cannulation was done, it means that the sequence reached an end. Me as a junior doctor, I needed the higher authority. And now, as a creature, I needed a higher authority. And that higher authority, I don't know what it is, but it needs also another higher authority, a higher authority, higher authority, higher authority, until we reach a level in which there is a level of an entity which doesn't need any higher authority for it to exist. Got it? This is Allah's Samad. Allah is the self-sufficient. The self-sufficient, the one who does not need anything. What is the first need that all creatures have? Existence, right? So the first thing that you think of Al-Samad is the need of existence. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't need anyone for him to be created or existed, So He's the first. one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Awwal. He is the first. Why do we have to believe in that? Because we existed. If the sequence is going endlessly, we're not going to reach a higher authority to give us an order to do the IV cannulation, right? And we are not going to reach a level in which there is a creator that's going to start life. For us to be existed here, there must be an end to that sequence. So I don't care what is the elements of that sequence. I can think about that later. But now what's in my mind is that there must be someone, an entity, a level of no need, a level which is self-sufficient. Now, in that level, how many gods are there? You can relate to the first verse explanation, the previous video. Yes, we reached the level, we believe now that there must be starting point for all of this universe. Okay, the starting point. Who lives there? I can say, who lives there? How many people, how many gods are there? Go to the previous video and you will see 3 arguments for that. Okay? The third argument is the first argument is that at that higher authority level, okay, if there's an entity that needs another entity to complete life, then it's not a self-sufficient entity, right? So we said the example of God A, B, C, D, and E. So if God B, for example, needs God A to be pleased with him, for him not to kill him, for if God A can kill God B, but he didn't kill God B because he's happy with him, they are friends. This basically means that God B needs God A for him to complete life. Right? So he's not self-sufficient. God C wants me to die, but he can't do that unless God A and God B agree on that. He's not self-sufficient. Right? So now we can link the need to the argument and say all of those sentences. So what are the meanings that we have discussed so far? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there, for sure, as the first cause of everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unique, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is self-sufficient. How important are those meanings? That's why Surah Al-Ikhlas is the third of Quran. That's why I have wasted my life reciting this surah multiple times without knowing the meaning of it. That's why when you are going to teach your son, your daughter, Surah Al-Ikhlas, after you make sure that they can recite it, or actually before you make sure that they can recite it, you have to make sure that they understand it. Because this will give them immunity to all of the things that they're going to face in life, which are everywhere. In movies, in life, in politics, in every system that we live, God is not always there. God is not always the unique one. God is not always the only one. There are multiple explanations of life without those important meanings. So try to put an immunity in your child, and inshallah ta'ala we will see that this surah, after it established the existence of God and the oneness of God and the uniqueness of God and the self-sufficiency of God, it kind of ruled out thousands of religions in the world except 2 religions. Or I can say, for example, I can be more humble to say that the most important 2 examples, rather than Islam, which claim the same claims, claim the same beliefs, that God is so strong and so powerful and self-sufficient and one sometimes, the most important, maybe there are multiple examples, but the most important examples are Christianity and Judaism. That's why in this very surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going also to discuss the core problems in those two religions. Of course, there's a big link between Christianity and Islam, we can say that Islam is the reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is that Jesus, Isa alayhi salam's da'wah and message was gone, was corrupted. If Jesus alayhi salam was, if the Bible was just like Quran, a non-corruptible book, just like Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to preserve Quran, but He didn't promise to preserve Bible. He put the responsibility on the shoulders of the priests, but they didn't do it. They weren't, unfortunately, they weren't responsible, and they themselves corrupted the Bible. So if the message of Jesus alayhi salam is still here, maybe we will not need another religion. But the problem is that we will see, inshallah, we discussed Christianity and Judaism in the first 2 episodes, because in the first 2 verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the core problem of those 2 religions. And inshallah ta'ala, we're going to see, I'm going to talk about some interesting topics. I hope you guys are not, I hope that my points were clear, and I hope that I'm making sense. I hope that was beneficial. If not, stop watching and go complete your own way. So don't lose interest in this way just because you didn't like the way that I deliver things, or I speak, or anything. Khalas, it's not about me and you. You have your own test. You have this Quran in front of you. Go and have your own journey if you want, but don't stop. Don't stop it, please. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about YouTube. It's not about anything. Don't stop this journey. You have questions to answer in front of you, and all of the answers, I can claim, all of the answers are in this book. That's it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.